The International Dyslexia Association defines dyslexia as a specific learning disability characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties come from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often a relation into the cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction, which comes from the teachers. Secondary consequences include problems reading comprehension and reading experience, which can impede vocabulary growth and background knowledge. All of this still has to do with a processing issue students diagnosed with dyslexia have. Dyslexia is commonly undiagnosed or misdiagnosed, leaving many students and adults frustrated and without a functioning solution to better their education. Through the master's program at Liberty, as well as being a preschool teacher, I've been able to work with dyslexic students both in general education classrooms and special education classrooms in the public and private schools. As a teacher, it is our responsibility to adapt to the needs of our students, which means educating ourselves on the dyslexic needs and the preferred learning ways of our students. I intend to explain the possible causes, diagnosis, and what educational tools have been found useful in aiding a well-rounded and inclusive classroom. In other words, there's still a lot of unanswered questions about dyslexia, such as what is the main cause? The International Dyslexic Association states about 13 to 14% of the population has a handicap condition qualifying them for special ed. Of this, current studies indicate half of those students who qualify are learning disabled. 85% of these learning disabled students have primary learning disabilities in reading and language, which is also in common with dyslexic students. Genevieve Eden, a PhD director for the Center of the Study of Learning at Georgetown University Medical Center and a past president of the International Dyslexic Association, states that they have confirmed that differences do exist in the visual systems between dyslexic students and those students without the reading issues that they have. But this is compared to dyslexic students who do less reading versus students who typically read more often. In another article named Dyslexia in Children, the author says dyslexia is not related to race, social background, or intellectual ability, but it has a tendency to come from hereditary influences, such as 50% of the parents, which means 50% of the children may also be dyslexic. Although the cause of dyslexia has not been identified, there's many known signs for diagnosis. Audio, visual, phonological, and some physical processing can be difficult for students with dyslexia. The International Dyslexic Association estimates about 15 to 20% of the population have some dyslexic qualities, including slower and inaccurate reading, poor spelling, poor writing, and mixing up similar words. In an article called Teaching the Knowledge of Basic Learning Concepts of Dyslexia, they say children with dyslexia generally have good listening and comprehension, but struggle with accurate, fluent, and single work reading. The signs of dyslexia include difficulty with written language, learning to speak, learning letters and sounds, organizing written and spoken language, and reading quickly enough to comprehend. From diagnosing students with dyslexia, teachers are able to fund academic tools for aiding learning for these students. Dyslexic students need teachers to go the extra mile in order for them to succeed. In a nurse practitioner journal, Reiser and Murphy say, teaching phonics programs to improve phonetic awareness and guided repeating oral reading are great ways in order to help students with dyslexia succeed. Another article, Teaching the Knowledge of Basic Language Concepts in Dyslexia, says children benefit from explicit and systematic and sequential instructions in phonetic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocab, and text comprehension. The International Dyslexic Association says systematic and explicit teaching methods involve hearing and seeing and touching at the same time while listening, so a kinesthetic learning approach. Useful tools can also be audio recorders, color coordinating activities, flashcards, and colored paper to help these students be aware of what they are. In conclusion, teachers need to be aware of what works best for each learner and try to implement that into his or her own classroom. As much research shows, dyslexic students are a large percentage of the LD population. Important for teachers to understand what needs to be so they can be prepared and find the best learning tools for each of their students. It wouldn't be right to leave these students out on their own to learn their own education, or having them sit there and not understand. So early intervention academically advances students and provides a positive and encouraging learning environment.